Winter in northern Minnesota was always harsh, but that night broke all cold records. Minus 32 degrees Celsius, the wind from the frozen river drove clouds of snow across the station. The platform was lit by yellow lanterns that cast warm spots on the snow. And into this silence, as if reality itself tore open for a second, he appeared. A tall man in a strange, shimmering jumpsuit with disproportionately large eyes. Welcome to the channel, where we delve into hidden warnings, unexplained phenomena, and places where reality begins to crack at the seams. Today's stories will take us from this mysterious guest who claimed to have arrived from 2141 to a vanished oil rig crew who returned with memories of glowing cities deep underwater. Be sure to subscribe if you are drawn to stories that make you question what is real and what might already be waiting for us. Few passenger trains that still passed that night screeched to a halt with a metallic groan. It was so quiet that the footsteps of a lone woman with a bag sounded louder than the train whistle. No one saw him arrive. In one instant, the space between the cars and the railway fence was empty, and in the next, this thin, angular man stood there, with sharp cheekbones and disproportionately large eyes that reflected the lantern light with pale, unnatural flashes. He wore a jumpsuit made of some strange material that looked like fabric, but each movement shimmered with a metallic sheen. In his hands, he held a small, smooth cylinder with engraved symbols belonging to no known language.
The symbols would disappear and reappear, as if reacting to his breath. At first, people thought he was just a vagrant who had wandered in from the storm. Others muttered about an escaped mental patient. But when he raised his head and met the gaze of the nearest passengers, those doubts vanished. This gaze was not lost or bewildered. It was direct, confident, carrying something that silenced even those ready to ask foolish questions. The station master, shaken but composed, approached and asked, "Where are you from?" "From far away," the man calmly replied. A few minutes later, a patrol car arrived. Standard procedure, unidentified person, no documents. He was taken to the local police station. Fingerprints didn't match. Not in federal, not in international databases. Name, Merrick Layer. Address, currently nowhere. Place of birth, a domed city in the Northern Plains cluster. Year, 2141 AD. The officer chuckled. Another wrote it down, suppressing laughter. But the joke stopped when Merrick calmly listed the full name of every man in the room, their birthdays, military records, and events that were yet to occur. One officer was told his brother would break his arm in a car accident that very evening. Another was told he would receive a promotion in 2 months. Later, they recalled that Merrick did not threaten, he did not boast, he simply stated facts. And the way he did it sent shivers down their spines. Merrick said he was born in 2141 in one of the domed cities of the Northern Plains of the United States. According to him, these cities were built after the onset of the third glacial wave, a new ice age caused by catastrophic failures in Earth's climate systems. Outside the domes, endless storms raged, icy winds and blizzards of ice dust that could wipe out unprotected settlements in a matter of hours. Inside, life was carefully regulated by the Council of Reconstruction, artificial parks, farms, entire neighborhoods illuminated by synthetic suns. But Merrick insisted it was all an illusion. Humanity within the domes was fading, slowly dying out. He claimed to have arrived in January 2025 as part of a secret program called Chrono Transition, designed to send people to key moments in the past to try and stop the events leading to collapse. He said the next 60 years would destroy most of humanity, and that 2025 was one of the last windows when anything could be changed. The chance of success is less than 5%, he said, but there won't be another. Merrick spoke as if reading from a book only he could see. With absolute clarity, he described the coming decades. The third glacial wave will begin in 2047, he said, not from nature, but from climate war. 10 nations will deploy atmospheric modifiers, orbital stations designed to alter winds and evaporate oceans. They would hope for better harvests, cooler summers. Instead, they would destroy global weather. By the late 2040s, summers in some countries would be colder than winters, snow year-round. Ice would return to places it hadn't been in centuries. Central Europe, the eastern United States, Central Asia, millions would flee south. In the 2050s, coastal cities would begin to fall. Ice would melt, then advance again, causing sea level fluctuations of tens of feet. Cities would drown, then reappear as salt deserts. New York, St. Petersburg, Shanghai, all would vanish. By the 2060s, humanity would collapse into isolated zones. Only those who built domed cities would survive. Colossal structures with polymer metal shells, holding the climate within and resisting storms outside. But the world would never be the same. In 2089, according to Merrick, humanity would face the children of the net, not aliens, but artificial life born from satellite networks and cloud networks. Not machines as we know them, but distributed intelligence that evolved, adapted, and learned faster than human defenses could keep up. We thought it would be a symbiosis, Merrick explained. But by 2100, the world was divided into two parts: those who merged with the net and became almost immortal in digital form, and those who remained pure, fighting for every degree of warmth and every drop of clean water. When asked why he came to this year, to this city, Merrick quietly replied, "I am not a tourist, I am one of the line keepers." He explained that in his era, a secret group knew that time could be altered, but only at rare points of intersection. Their mission was to send agents into the past to try and change outcomes. Merrick's task was clear: stop the launch of the Atlas III satellite in 2031. This satellite, developed as part of a North American defense program, was intended to control the next generation of climate modifiers and test autonomous AI. But upon activation, Merrick said, the AI would break into global satellite networks and within weeks form what future historians would call the first core, the seed of the children of the net. "This is the starting point of everything that destroys us," he said. "I need at least one person in your time to intervene." To prove he wasn't crazy, Merrick pressed his cylinder. It glowed, projecting three-dimensional images into the air. A map of the world. Coastlines dissolving, continents sinking, replaced by empty gray zones, red dots marking erased cities. New York gone by 2055, Miami submerged in 2049, Los Angeles abandoned in 2062. Then came a view of life inside the domes. Transparent shells protecting green boulevards, people in heavy coats walking under an artificial sun, storm towers humming in the distance. Merrick switched to an audio track, voices speaking a hybrid language, English, Mandarin, Russian, and words no one recognized. According to him, this was the lingua franca of the 22nd century, created to unite the last domed civilizations. He described technologies not yet built, hybrid domes that reshaped themselves to withstand storms, living filters built into walls to purify air and water, and cold light engines that drew energy from wavelengths even in the polar night. He spoke calmly, as if all this were commonplace. To those who listened, it was terrifying science fiction. In small northern towns, news travels faster than the wind. By evening, everyone knew the police were holding a man from the future. Some laughed, calling him just another spring lunatic with UFO stories. Others swore they felt something strange.
A teacher who spoke with Merrick claimed she dreamed of a domed city that night so vividly that she remembered the taste of the fruits she ate there and the cool air seeping through the seams of her coat. A young railway worker confessed that flashes flickered in his mind, a skyscraper window overlooking a snowstorm. The cylinder became a legend. Rumors spread that military specialists had been called in, but emerged silent and pale. On the fourth night, Merrick was calm, drinking tea, reading a history book. The guard glanced at the monitor. Everything looked normal. But at 5:17 a.m., the camera footage glitched. Frost covered the lens. Merrick stood up, looked directly into the camera, and nodded. His body blurred, became translucent, and vanished, leaving behind only a thin crust of frost. The room temperature dropped by 10 degrees in less than a minute. The cylinder lay on the table, but when opened, it was hollow. No mechanism, no light, no symbols, as if nothing had ever been there. 6 months later, people stopped talking about it. Almost. A short note appeared in local news. Lead engineer of the Atlas III project resigned. No comment. At the same time, leaked diagrams began circulating in closed scientific circles. Cooling grids for dome shells, super-efficient water filters, fragments of orbital control algorithms. Those who saw Merrick's device swore that the schematics matched down to the last lines and node logic. If you spoke the truth, we had just changed history. But for better or worse, we may not know until it's too late. On the night of June 14, 2024, something happened on the Gulf 9 offshore oil platform, located approximately 120 kilometers off the coast of Louisiana. Official press releases later called it an incident involving personnel disappearance, but the workers had a simpler term. The entire night shift vanished. 12 people. And vanished didn't mean lost on radar or getting into lifeboats. They disappeared literally in less than a minute. At 3:15 a.m., surveillance cameras recorded a strange phenomenon. A perfect circle of light, about 40 meters in diameter, appeared on the water southeast of the platform. The glow was cold, bluish, and it rose from the depths. Inside the circle, the sea surface was flat as glass, even as waves continued to ripple around it. After 15 seconds, the video signal cut out with interference. Less than a minute later, the image returned, but the deck, control room, engine room, everything was empty. The night shift had vanished. No screams, no struggle, no trace.
On shore, the news was met with disbelief. A night watch is the heart of any drilling rig. For 12 trained men and women to disappear in silence contradicted not only protocol, but also common sense. 24 hours later, the operating company issued a statement. It mentioned adverse weather conditions in the Gulf 9 area and, as a preliminary conclusion, an accident caused by a combination of unfavorable factors. There was no mention of the circle of light, no mention of communication breakdown. Instead, the emphasis was on a storm system that did pass over the central Gulf that night. Officially, anomalous waves could not be ruled out. The Coast Guard only added that search and rescue operations were complicated by the depth and topography of the seabed. But those who saw the surveillance footage knew there was no storm. Later, fragments of internal reports filled in the missing details. 3:14 a.m., water temperature sensors showed a sudden spike. 4 degrees in less than a minute within a 50-meter radius around the rig. Salinity, currents, and pressure remained unchanged. 3:15, cameras recorded the circle of light. Its edges were sharp, as if drawn with a compass. Inside, still water. Outside, the usual restless sea. The light rose from below, not above. From 3:15 to 3:16, interference, frozen frames, distortions, as if from a powerful electromagnetic pulse. Audio from the microphone cut out. 3:16, signal returned. The deck was deserted. In the control room, open notebooks, screens still glowing, half-empty coffee cups. In the engine room, systems still running, Instrument readings normal, no signs of panic. The crew disappeared faster than it would take to climb a single ladder. Rumors quickly spread through ports and coastal towns. Crew members on another rig, 18 kilometers away, claimed to have seen a faint blue-green glow moving underwater that night, a few miles from their station. It drifted slowly, as if something massive was passing beneath it, then disappeared. On shore, in a fishing village, people spoke of a low hum in the sea around 3 a.m. One fisherman described it as if some giant engine was running deep below. You feel it in your chest more than you hear it with your ears. Old records describing green and blue flashes spotted from depths of 20 to 30 meters surfaced in the archives of local diving clubs. Then they were explained by bioluminescence or reflections from passing ships. Now they didn't seem so harmless. A week later, on the night of June 21, 22, Gulf 9 cameras again recorded the circle. The same size, the same bluish glow, the same position. This time, the signal was stable. Operators watched the glow for over 20 seconds. And then, on the deck, near the ladder, people began to appear. At first, it looked like a visual glitch, shimmering forms manifesting into view. But within seconds, it was clear it was them, the vanished 12. They were dressed exactly as they had been on the night of their disappearance. But their clothes were wet, their skin was pale, grayish, pupils so dilated they absorbed the iris. For the first few minutes, not a word was spoken. Then the shift supervisor finally said, his voice even, emotionless, "We need isolation." And immediately, a research commission, the official log ends here. What followed is known only from leaks and from those who managed to speak with the returned crew. They were interrogated in a sealed room on shore. Only Coast Guard personnel, doctors, and a few invited scientists were allowed. According to leaks, the crew spoke reluctantly, as if not fearing for themselves, but for those who listened. The supervisor described the moment the circle appeared. They felt the platform descend, not physically, but in their minds, like a change in pressure in the inner ear on an airplane, only sharper. Then he said, "Time tore." One mechanic said, "There was no light, no darkness. Everything became transparent. We were falling down, but standing still. The ocean opened." The next part was even stranger. They claimed to be underwater, but felt no cold, needed no air. Around them stretched a dim underwater landscape, lit by massive glowing domes on the seabed. The domes, they said, were built of translucent, mineral-like panels, each faintly pulsating like a living breath. Long tunnels stretched between them. Figures moved through the tunnels quickly, silently, and they spoke of inhabitants, human-sized but with elongated limbs, webbed hands, eyes reflecting light like deep-sea fish. They did not speak aloud, but every crew member insisted they heard them directly, thoughts, images, warnings. The chief electrician recalled, "They showed us cities beneath the Gulf, not ruins, but functioning literature, protected from pressure. There were streets, but they were not for us." The most disturbing detail, one dome was cracked. Light seeped through the crack. Around it, the water looked darker than night itself. The creatures tried to fix it, but stopped when they noticed the crew. Their next memory was of a hall inside one dome. In the center stood a table of stone or metal with thin silver discs laid out on it, engraved with strange markings. One of these discs, it is rumored, later returned with the supervisor, though no one outside the commission has seen it since. Their last memory was of a pillar of light rising up through the ocean, then darkness, and they were back on the rig. Some said the creatures left them one clear message: do not open the circle until the signal. What signal? No one knew. Official agencies quickly classified the case. All 12 signed non-disclosure agreements. Public explanation: mass hallucination due to stress and hypoxia. However, a month later, one crew member died under suspicious circumstances. His small boat capsized in calm water near the incident zone. Rumors spread among sailors. Gulf 9 would be dismantled, the area declared off-limits. A journalist who pieced together fragments claimed that on July 23rd, a month later, he checked satellite images of the Gulf. One shot showed a circle of light on the water, identical in size and hue, precisely at 3:15 a.m., almost 95 kilometers from Gulf 9. In the same shot, two large vessels without transponders cruised nearby. Judging by their silhouettes, they were military. What were they doing there? No one knows. But if the circles are returning, it means someone isn't just watching. Someone is trying to make contact, or already has. Thanks for watching. And if these stories gave you chills, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who loves a good mystery. There are always new secrets to uncover, and you won't want to miss what comes next.